Old man pretends to be president and Wicked Witch set to take over. Either way, all of them are coming for your guns. Hunker down in your bunkers. It's time for the Freedom Roundup. And welcome to the Freedom Roundup. I'm Shaun Horner, Executive Director of the Heartland Fund Incorporated. Joining me is my usual cadre of characters. To my right is the wonderful and beautiful Michelle Horner, President of the High Noon Republican Women's Group, Republican Committee Member for Jackson County. And that's all of them, right? Yes. Also joining me is Missouri Representative from the 32nd District, Jeff Coleman.
Hey.
You can say hi.
And our dog, Dakota.
And your dog, Dakota. And last but not least, joining me is Kress Cambers, Jackson County Republican Committee Treasurer and Campaign Manager for the Jeff Coleman campaign.
Hey, what's happening?
There we are.
Hey.
So, you might have missed it, but we had this election thing happen. And so I wanted to touch briefly on that.
We did have an election. It's still being counted in several states, although Alaska just came through. We are over a week away from this election. Yeah, and Alaska finally came through.
And so did North Carolina.
Yep.
Yep, North Carolina. Still undecided. No one has officially reached 270, although there's speculation for everybody, it seems. So we wanted to talk briefly about that and see if you guys had some input or some pieces you wanted to discuss that you'd seen.
Well,
Jeff?
according to the media, he's already won.
Yeah,
Biden
and that's the biggest, and that's one of the biggest problems. Yeah. He's already being named president-elect, which is very reminiscent of the Gore win.
Right.
They did that with Gore too, remember? And that unfortunately came down to a single state. In that case, it came down to Florida. We still have 4 states in play.
5. We have
states.
Georgia, Pennsylvania, Nevada's got lawsuits. Arizona is still out there, and there was one.
Georgia.
So there's 7. Yeah, you said Georgia.
I know there's 5.
And I know for sure those lawsuits also. They're going for the dead voter rolls.
Michigan. It's Michigan. Michigan. Yeah.
I was going to say that.
Michigan, that was the one I missed, Michigan. But yeah, Georgia, because they tried to declare Georgia today, but the governor of Georgia's like, no, we're going to recount.
Right.
Because they had the same system at Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. They all had that system that they had those electronic systems that automatically counted people that voted for Trump towards Biden.
Yep.
They all had the same Dominion thing going on.
So, and the interesting thing about Dominion is the links to, and I jokingly said this in the intro, to, is it Pelosi's son that is involved with Dominion? Is that correct? Or is it her husband? I forget.
Husband, son, something like that.
Yeah.
And Becky's confirming over here also, yes, husband.
No, it's fascinating to me because if we don't get a elector set and we don't actually have an electoral college vote, guess who wins? The Speaker of the House.
Nancy Pelosi.
If we get a Biden win and then suddenly somebody realizes that he's unfit and is removed from the office of the president via the 25th Amendment, guess who becomes vice president? Pelosi. Yep. And it's like this woman is like got her fingers everywhere.
Those witch-looking nasty fingers of hers.
Allegedly.
I can't feel my face, Pelosi. The nasty-looking fingers. Old woman fingers just want to go out and grab you.
Nancy Pelosi that,
got
likes to get her hair
everything
done, in San Francisco, at salons, but everyone else has to stay home.
What's good?
Pelosi. What's good for me is not good for you.
Yeah, what's good
I
for
don't
me
have
is not
to
good
wear
for
my
thee.
mask, but you do, Pelosi.
No, that wasn't her fault.
I know, she was set up.
Yeah, they told her she could come in.
I know, it's just.
It's that level of continued hypocrisy that we run into because we also run into the problem where we've got all of these votes that we're working with, all the mail-in votes, and it's striking because now we're concerned about the validity of them.
Yeah,
right?
and then all the dead people that voted.
Yes, all the and what's really odd is the dead always vote Democrat. It's bizarre.
Well, and it's really funny because, there's that meme going out there that Biden is really popular among seniors of 112 to 120 years old. And it's so true. I mean,
it's sadly.
They're actually finding that in Michigan, Nevada, and Arizona. That is primarily what some of these lawsuits are in these states.
Right. Is the people that it shouldn't be.
People died back in 1980 or before. They're 118, 120 years old that got a ballot and voted.
And
some of these ballots in Pennsylvania
are the same.
They're the only person on the ticket, or the only person that was voted for on the ticket, was Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. They didn't vote down line or anything like that.
And that's why we didn't see the flip. We didn't see what would normally be, which is a true flip. You do top to bottom of a ticket. We only saw the top.
Because
where that initial concern is, because that's the impetus of this election was get Trump out. Period.
And well, except in Georgia, because Georgia, they actually wanted to try to take control of the Senate by removing the senators. So that's why, the governor stood there and said, "Oh no, we're going to do a recount," because he's noticed the voter fraud that's happening down in Georgia. I remember that's where Stacey Abrams is. So we have that very far left person that's involved with the voter fraud.
The governor by default is what they're referring to her as.
Yeah.
Jeff, I know you've never been involved in choosing the electoral slate for the state, but that's going to be coming. So you're going to be, as state legislature, you're going to be voting for the slate of electors that go on to the Electoral College.
I am.
According to the Constitution. I know you've never done it before. That's why
have not.
That's
you are
why.
right.
That's why. So as a representative, I'm gonna flip this because we know the slate we're sending in Missouri is going to be Trump, right? We already know that. If you were in a state and your Republican legislature was in charge, and you knew that there was rampant voter fraud, my question to you is, would the representatives of a given state feel that it was their duty to right the wrong by choosing a different slate of electors? So there's rampant voter fraud. I'm asking you, and I know you're just one person. I'm just wondering, normally you just basically rubber stamp the electors. I'm just wondering if this has ever crossed your mind as a representative. That's what I wanted to.
Well, certainly, I think everybody down there would take the stance of doing what's right.
Have you, as a representative, ever thought about having to vote on your conscience rather than basically what you're told to do? Does that make sense?
Sure. No, I can't speak for everybody, but but for the people that I know down at the Capitol, I think everybody would, to a T, vote what is right.
Right.
And so, we're certainly, to be honestly, we're not going to vote for the other party.
No.
Right?
No,
but if there is some kind of fraud going on, we are going to vote to make it right.
Okay. And that's what I figured, and that's why our founders, put that in there, was so that you'd be able to right that wrong specifically. Because if you knew, especially during segregation, because I think we actually had one state, and somebody will have to fact check me. I thought we had one or two states. I want to say it was Tennessee or Kentucky.
Well, wait a second. Let me pull up Google here real quick.
Google's not going to tell you that undid one of the segregational votes. Anti-black and whatever it was. And I don't know well enough. But
so while you're pulling that up.
I want
to read.
I was just joking.
We were joking. We're not pulling that up.
Because they don't fact check.
They don't fact check us.
If they do, they fact check incorrect.
Yes.
So to go on, to build up on your question.
Yeah.
The 12th Amendment of the United States Constitution says the electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one whom at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. They shall name in the ballots the person voted for as president, and in the distinct ballots the person voted for as vice president, and they shall make distinct list of all persons voted for as president, and of all persons voted for as vice president, and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify, and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States. Okay, so it goes on the process of that.
When was that ratified?
So it was revised in, let's guess. Can we guess when it was
2000?
revised? 1992. Bill Clinton.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So
I don't remember.
it says the person having the greatest number of votes as president and the greatest number of votes as vice president
Wins the electoral college.
wins the electoral college. Yeah.
I would invite all of our listeners at some point or another to actually go through the amendments and look at them because they're interesting. Also to see when they were actually ratified because there's a lot more what I would consider recent changes like that being one of them than you might realize. And it's
And who
a little frightening.
redid them.
Yeah. yeah. And be very aware of when what's interesting is that particular amendment, even though it went through as Bill Clinton, who was in charge of the legislature at the time, that would have been the Republicans. So we'll have to do some research and looking that up.
We'll have to dig into that and see why they did that.
Yeah, do a little history on that one.
And if you guys know, you can email citizensforjeffcoleman@gmail.com or you can email
contact@fundingtheheartland.com. Plug. The only other thing I wanted to mention about the election is that right now we'll go around the table. Odds of a Biden win or Trump win. Who do you think? And then what do you think the odds are?
I think it's going to go to the Supreme Court. It's going to end up going all the way over there because, I mean, like we were talking earlier, just by not recording, but me and Jeff were talking how, like, Pennsylvania, it's supposed to do a recount, but the Secretary of State said no, she wasn't going to do a recount. But then the state legislator told her to step down, and she won't step down.
Yeah.
So, and the courts have already ruled that some of the ballots can't be counted at all, but they've already been counted. So I don't know how it's going to work there, but I really think Trump's going to pull it out. It'll be narrow, but I think he's going to pull it out because some states, they're not going to do recounts.
So you're saying Pelosi?
No. No, it's going to go to the Supreme Court where the Supreme Court is going to step in.
We only have till December 8th.
No, they'll rush it through. And they've already said they're going to rush it through.
Okay, so you think a Supreme Court push eventually?
Yeah, and they've already said that they're pushing it through. The Supreme Court's even said that they would.
I agree with Michelle. Supreme Court.
You think it's Supreme Court?
So we've already seen Justice Alito told Pennsylvania not to count the ballots coming in after Election Day, and they violated those rules from Justice Alito.
So are they going to? So in that case, what happens when you ignore a judicial injunction? Does it invalidate the whole state at that point? I mean,
I think everybody's trying to figure that out at this point because nobody knows.
I don't think they care. The Democrats don't care.
No. I'm just saying from a legal standpoint.
But I think that they'll step in and they'll go back to election night results at midnight, and those results will end up being the final, which Trump was ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
And so they'll end up. The Supreme Court will say, "This is what's going to happen." Boom, done.
Okay, so you say Supreme Court. She says Supreme Court.
And we also have to remember, though, Judge Thomas Joe Biden was the lead on the judicial
on the witch hunt.
The witch hunt that did the pubic hair on the
the coke can.
The coke can.
And Justice Thomas said this is a high-tech lynching. That's where that came from.
Yep.
And remember also Kavanaugh, which Harris did him dirty.
Called him a serial gang rapist.
Yeah.
But let's not forget also Judge Alito was appointed by George W. Bush, and he worked on the Bush versus Gore Chad thing down in Florida.
The Chads.
He was one of the attorneys.
Okay.
So there we go with that one. you said Kavanaugh with the serial gang rapist. They all tried to stop the nomination of Justice Gorsuch by doing a filibuster.
Yep.
And that didn't work. And not only that, Amy Coney Barrett, our recent justice that just got on the court, they condemned her for being a female, for being a Catholic, for having adopted
black
kids.
Yeah, from Haiti.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
So,
all right,
there's at least 4 or 5 justices that would probably vote in Trump's favor, conservative. I know Judge Thomas would.
Okay.
He has always shown his conservative values in every single ruling he has done.
Right.
Well, and I think Amy Cohen Barrett getting her appointed, it was the ceiling and the coffin. That's why the Democrats did not want her nominated.
Okay.
They didn't want her on it.
So right now, Jeff, we have 2 folks that say it's going to go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court's going to rule. I presume you both say in favor of Trump. I mean, you didn't actually. Okay. So what do you think, Jeff?
Well, obviously, excuse me. Obviously, they haven't been listening to the media because Biden's already won.
Yeah.
Trump is refusing to concede, and so he's
abdicate.
Hitler.
I've actually heard the word abdicate, and it's like that's not how this.
The military is going to have to remove him from office.
Yeah,
because he won't.
Not how it works.
They
they obviously don't know our Constitution.
They don't.
He is. It's Hitler. He's a Hitler. Second coming. So no, I have to agree with both of them. I think the Supreme Court's going to have to get involved, and quite honestly, it's going to depend on what they find. I don't know what the answer is yet.
It wasn't today they filed a whole bunch of
I'm hoping
stuff.
Junctions.
I'm hoping that is where it goes. My concern is that we're starting to see the Republicans in name only starting to rear their ugly heads now.
Oh yes,
and
the Lincoln Project.
The Lincoln Project. That's exactly where I was going. You're starting to see that kind of laissez-faire kind of, well, we don't want to rock the boat. We'll better luck next time. And that's my biggest concern. Now, I will take an opposite viewpoint from you, Kress, when it comes to those judges.
Interesting.
I would hope that they don't let those personal insults affect their decisions. I don't know how you can't, considering how they were blackballed and just beaten down.
Right.
I almost, now I'm not saying I don't think that they wouldn't rule in Trump's favor. I'm not saying that. I don't want it to be
a vendetta.
Because I don't want to give fuel to the fire of we have to pack the court the next time a Dem's in there.
Right. I got you.
Right. I want them to rule, and I want them to do it.
I think Trump is going to have enough evidence of voter fraud, and they're going to see that they're not going to have to think. I mean, he has a lot. I mean, they have over 235 pages in one state alone. So
I know, but I want Bill Barr to do something.
And he is. But the thing is, the thing is that when the FBI questioned the postal worker in Pennsylvania, when the postal worker said to backdate all those ballots, that they really grilled the guy, and they tried to get him to. They said he recanted, but then he goes back on to
Project
Veritas again. He goes, they really tried to snowball. He goes, I never recanted anything that I said, and he goes, I'm not recanting anything that it actually happened. But I want and another person has actually came out that was also a postal worker and has said, yes, this has actually happened. This I can verify that what he said is true. So but that comes back to the FBI has been crooked for years. They haven't done anything with Hillary Clinton. They haven't done anything about Joe Biden and his son, and the money laundering and the stuff. They've been controlled with China. I mean, how can you trust a man like Joe Biden with China, intel and secrets for the United States when he's selling their secrets to China themselves and he's being bought out by China? I don't get it. I don't get that these people just don't open their eyes and they don't see how bad. Well, that's the Justice
Department, and that would be Barr, and that would be Durham, and we keep hearing about.
It's just not Barr and Durham. It's just you have the lower level guys that aren't reporting the stuff that they should be reporting to the higher ups too. I mean, it's just not them. They're high, but you have all these lower corrupt ones also, that are all levels. You have corrupt.
Real quick, let me play that portion of him saying he recanted. He really didn't. He was getting pressure from an FBI agent, which is very corrupt. You could tell in his voice and what he's saying, it sounds very corrupt. And unfortunately, the entire FBI is politicized top to bottom.
Yeah.
So let me play that real quick. Okay.
I understand, because we have senators involved, we have the Department of Justice involved, we have
Trump's lawyers team's gotten a hold of me.
I'm not, well, I am actually. I am trying to twist you a little bit, because in that, believe it or not, your mind will kick in.
Okay.
We like to control our mind, and when we do that, we can convince ourselves of a memory. But when you're under a little bit of stress, which is what I'm doing to you purposely, your mind can be a little bit clearer. And we're going to do a different exercise, too, to make your mind a little bit clearer.
He recorded the FBI interview?
That is public information.
Yeah, the interview.
That FBI interview project. So this part came from Project Veritas, and of course ran by James O'Keefe. But we just see that the FBI is so corrupt from the top to the bottom, especially from this one FBI agent. How he's twisting the words and wanting to mess with this guy's mind.
Yeah,
the whistleblower's mind.
Yeah, but and I can understand. I mean, if you've ever been involved with just being questioned about anything, like any incident, because like with my past marriage, I mean, he was very abusive, and they took me in one day to question me here in Green Valley, and they ask a lot of hard questions, and they turn things around, but they do that on purpose to make sure that you're getting things right. But the way he was doing it was trying to make him say, no, you're not right, this didn't actually happen.
He was trying to intimidate this guy.
He was trying to intimidate him, and there's a way of doing it to where you sure this is what you heard, and rewording it in certain ways, and then not doing an intimidation. Yeah, do it without intimidation.
Right.
I mean, and this guy was definitely being intimidating to him, and I think that's just where you're, like you said, we have gotten such our CIA and our FBI have just become so poisonous and so bad for the American people, and it's been going on for years. It's been going on since, who was it, Hoover or
the beginning of the FBI?
Yeah, the beginning.
Yeah.
It's been at the beginning. So I don't know. The American people need to stand up and just see what's really going on. That's why they're having all these Trump support rallies all over the United States to support our president and know that we've got his back. And the Democrats don't want that, because Lori Lightfoot in Chicago is out doing this big protest, and no one continues to wear masks during the protest, but they're going to anything with Trump or anything. Everybody else has to wear masks. I'm just like going,
because Trump rallies are super spreaders, but
Yes,
not when
no.
Joe Biden wins an election. They can get out in groves out into the middle of Chicago without a mask. Some of them do have a mask, but some of them they're not social distancing either.
Yeah. It's okay if it's
the one thing that we've learned over the 4 years of Trump is that there is most definitely two different justice systems.
Absolutely.
The prime example I always use is you have Secretary Clinton, who had top secret information on a personal server, and you flip that, and at the same time, or nearly the same time, there was a I want to say it was, I don't know his rank, but he was a sailor on a nuclear submarine that took a selfie and went to jail.
Went to prison.
Yeah, 2011.
Went to federal prison. His mom wanted to know what he was doing on the submarine, so he took a picture. So this is what I do on the submarine.
Yeah,
and he took a picture of classified government material, and went to jail.
Yeah,
but Hillary can smash laptops and cell phones,
exactly,
and
delete.
And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about Bill Barr and Durham. I want to see more top down. So when we talk about the low levels,
I have a problem with Bill Barr and Durham, though.
I know
they're not moving fast enough. We should. I thought
should have seen something.
Durham was supposed to be a honey badger.
Yep.
And go after every single issue that was brought up during the 2016 election. The only thing we found out is Russia spent $50,000 on both sides on freaking Facebook buying ads. That's the only thing we found out. Yes, there was Russian interference. $50,000? That is middle income America. Are you kidding me?
Well,
and you think that actually swayed an election?
Yeah.
Bill Barr and Durham need to actually do something. We're not hearing anything from them.
No.
I understand we're not going to hear anything during the investigation, but we need to hear something from them saying, we have completed this, we're going after that.
I want to see
and that's not.
I want to see one person that I recognize the name be charged with something.
Absolutely.
That's all I want to see. I'm not even talking like a Hillary. I just want to see a Strzok.
Yeah,
You
Peter
know?
Strzok. Smoke, struck, smirk.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to take a round of drinks real quick, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Second Amendment fun and how we're going to be fighting for that here soon. So
Refill.
Back in a moment. And we're back and soused just well enough. Not really. It's, well, you know.
I had a whole root beer.
You had a roll root beer. No, we're back. Next topic I want to cover is we've already heard from the presumptive president, Biden, and his choice for his Second Amendment advisor,
Beto O'Rourke.
Beto.
and how they're going to treat the Second Amendment. Zero surprise if you're following it at all.
They are going to come and take your guns.
They're going to take every scary-looking rifle that we have. Keeping in mind that if you get the same exact rifle that has a wood stock and looks less scary, that's okay. It's just the ARs.
Which they think stands for assault rifle, but it doesn't because, they're liberals and they're, not.
You could say
all
stupid.
there. Yeah. I was trying to be nice.
Yeah.
No, they're not nice to us.
Put allegedly.
You know
in
what?
front of that.
I know.
You heard
I
that
need
they're
to be
like-
allegedly stupid.
We want unity. Now you want unity after 4 years
I know.
of
Because-
bashing Donald Trump.
Because
Orange
we're
man
alleged,
bad.
yeah, because we're allegedly
OMB.
stupid. I know.
You know
It's
what?
so
I'm going to
funny.
use OMB. Old man bad. How about that?
So we want to talk about Second Amendment, and we already know how this enforcement is going to go because they love the Australian model, which is frightening. I don't
Yes.
know if you guys know about how they did the confiscation in Australia, but Australia used to have, guns because everything on that giant island is trying to kill them.
Everything on that island will kill you.
I mean,
They have spiders larger than your face, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
so I happen to have moved to a gun-friendly county.
Very Trump-friendly county.
Very gun-friendly. Having moved out of a non-gun-friendly county.
Amen. Good for you
Interestingly enough, there is still concern, even in the rural area, that somebody's going to come and quote unquote take my rifle, take my shotgun, or whatever. So here is my question to you guys. In a broad sense, do you think that we're going to see the Democrats do much like they've done in the past, which is regulate around the Second Amendment? And when I say around, I'm talking like the California. You can only buy ammunition from a registered dealer.
Mm-hmm.
You're limited on the magazine size. You can only, all these different regulations, which make it so hard that somebody like me, who within the last, 4 years, I didn't even own a firearm. And the whole reason I bought one was because they said no.
Right.
That's the whole reason I got one.
Get it while you can.
The Democrats are the biggest seller for gun manufacturers.
Oh, absolutely.
In the United States.
Now-
they.
Now, I will say that I was an NRA member and have been for years, but that goes back to Bill Clinton. And when he tried to do an end around, he regulated the use of lead.
Yes.
And I was really big into little historical miniatures. And suddenly that market was devastated, and you had to buy them in pewter. And I was in college, and I couldn't afford
Pewter.
that.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, I want to go back to lead. So that, and I looked around for somebody to champion my cause, and the only one that was against that legislation was the NRA.
Right.
And that's how I became an NRA member.
So what you were saying, the Democrats won't back in the day, they would not outright ban guns.
Right.
Or infringe on your Second Amendment, but they'll make it harder for you to obtain a gun. They'll make it harder for you to buy ammunition, or they will ban lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or put a restriction on lead.
That's why they want to pack the Supreme Court, because they know that the Second Amendment will not pass any legislation or even anything that they do. Any challenge.
If they flip the court.
If they flip the court, then they could get that taken care of. But without packing the court, there's no way the judges that are sitting on there know that they could do that.
There's
what
no way
part of shall not be infringed do they not understand?
They always go back. They always go back to that's for
hunting.
a militia.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I need to have. If it's for back then with your
flintlocks,
and cannons, I am mounting a cannon on every damn corner of my house, and I will shoot you with a flintlock and then stab you with a bayonet.
But the thing is that the Democrats forget is that they actually had some very sophisticated weapons in the day.
They had machine guns back then.
They had machine guns. It was crank, though.
Yeah.
And so if they're talking back then, and that they did not think about the revolution of the gun and how it would evolve, well, they have obviously forgotten what kind of weapons they did have back then and the crank machine gun. So you're going to see a lot of people redoing all kinds of crank machine guns.
It always goes back to the general hypocrisy of the Second Amendment is for militia, and was envisioned with flintlock rifles only in mind. And if you flip that on the First Amendment and say, okay, well, the First Amendment, I guess, was meant for only quill pens and parchment, right? I'm sorry, that doesn't apply. And then they'll go, no, that's not the same. And it's like, no, that's exactly the same.
We are equating the same because it is the same.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason that when they did Common Core, they took away cursive writing, because you have all this whole generation that doesn't know how to read cursive writing, is because they don't want people to write the original founding documents. So you have this whole thing that they have been planning this for a very, very long time with our education system and trying to change the way our kids learn. So that's why they're changing now the history books, so people are actually learning the true history. And it's just amazing to me that so many
in quotes.
In quotes, because it's not necessarily
history.
True history.
It's not, and they always say history is always written by the winner,
the victor.
But I really believe that the Democrats are just going to do everything and anything to try to totally, completely erase the United States of America.
So, Jeff, you're a gun owner. Allegedly.
We all go down.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Jeff. I am way too much of a movie buff. So anyway, no, Jeff, I do too. It's one of my favorites. That and Patriot. I like Patriot too. So Jeff, as a legislature, at a state level, we have the Second Amendment for a reason. What can be done at the state level to supersede these proposed executive orders that could come in a Biden administration?
Well, we're right now, one of our legislators, Jared Taylor from Southern Missouri, has got a bill that he started last year. We ran out of time because of COVID. He will be reintroducing that. And basically what that bill does, which I have co-sponsored, by the way, it protects us against the federal government. So what it says is that law enforcement cannot come from the federal side and try to take our guns. If they do, our police cannot help them.
Okay.
Because if they do, then they will be banned from being a law officer from then on.
Okay.
So It's just there to help us protect us from the federal government.
From the overreach and stuff.
There are some states that already have that law, right?
I think so.
Yeah, there's a few of them, because now Kansas City proper is a little different, because there's already an existing federal, state, local cooperative that works together on larger cases for the most part. But that's already there, where you've got this weird kind of mix. Now, if that mix changed, so if you had like a federal agent working with a local detective, and kind of with the legislation that you're sponsoring, how would that work? If two people showed up at your door, one's an FBI agent and the other one's, say, a local detective, right? The jurisdiction is already muddled to begin with at that point, especially if they're saying you have an unregistered firearm. Let's say you transported it over the state lines, or you bought it in a different state, or whatever. Something that breaks federal law.
But I bought it legally.
But you bought it legally.
And I now own that gun in the state of Missouri.
Correct.
Doesn't matter where I bought it. Okay. It's my legal gun that I own here in Missouri, and therefore the federal government, based upon this bill, if it's passed into law, would not be able to take my gun.
Yeah, I don't see any laws coming anytime soon that would change or affect the Second Amendment. My concern is a far overreaching executive order. That's my biggest concern.
Right. Yeah,
because the buyback thing is just a ridiculous idea, because there's no way they're going to A, pay me enough money, for the guns, or B.
Well, first of all,
I'm never for sale.
I'm not giving up my guns. I just put it out there right now.
And a majority of Missouri's.
So we know Kamala Harris already said that she would use executive power to take away the guns.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, she's so dumb, she doesn't even know the damn laws that are on the book right now. She said if we find out that a gun manufacturer or gun seller is violating the rules, we'll pull their license.
That
already happens.
Yeah,
we got to make sure fugitives don't get their hand on guns.
Already
exists. So she was talking about okay, first of all, she doesn't know the difference between a fugitive and a criminal.
Yeah.
A fugitive is someone running from the law.
Yeah.
So, of course, unless
she's an attorney
on the run for more than 24 hours, the FBI is not going to put them on the list. Second of all, a criminal that has been to jail or a...
specifically a felony.
Felony, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. A felon. Trump did do a rollback, but that was not done for anybody with any gun crime.
Right. That was minor drugs, or even some of the three strikes.
Correct.
Ridiculousness
Correct.
of the crime bill. Yeah.
But she's that dumb that she doesn't even know the laws that are already on the book, and she was running for president, and now she is presumed...
She was a prosecutor, for crying out loud.
Yes. She was in the legislature, in the Senate, on the federal level, and now she is a presumptive
and there's a
vice president nominee. Give me a damn break. These Democrats do not know what they're talking about.
Well, they think they know what they're talking about. It is all to put on a mask for the masses, because the masses are not educated. They know what the laws are, but they will lie to the masses to make them think one thing when it's actually another. Does that make sense? I mean, because they could tell you one thing and the masses believe in it, but they know this law actually exists, so it's not as easy as what they're saying is going to happen. So, but they're famous for that. They're famous for lying to you and saying one thing, it just goes back to Obama, Obama's the reason I got involved in this, because I was listening to what he was saying. He was going to just change the United States of America and physically change. And I was like, are these people not listening to this man and what he's really going to do? I was like, because he does not like the United States of America. And this is the very first time he started running. And me and Shaun just started dating when his first election, and I told Shaun, I was like, this is not right. I actually, my first time voting was because I didn't like Hillary, and I was going to vote in the regular thing for Bush or whoever it was that she was running. He was running against Romney. It was Romney.
Yeah, it was Romney first.
But I voted in the primaries because I didn't want to do Romney. But I also didn't want Obama, so I actually voted for Hillary Clinton my very first election because I did not want Obama.
So
you voted for that snake-eyed.
I didn't want her because in
the primary.
It's in the primary.
She wanted her over Obama.
Over Obama.
You pulled a Democrat ticket for that?
But you're talking about someone brand new.
I think Mike Huckabee was running back then.
Yeah,
still.
I was going to say.
I think that was
every election.
I think he did too. But I listened to what he said, and I was like, why would you want? But she is a snake in the grass. But not as much had come out about Hillary at the time. Right. Like it has now.
I got you. I'm just giving you a hard time.
But yeah, I did vote for snake in the grass, and I still to this day go, God, I can't believe I did that. But I was listening to what Obama had to say, and so many people weren't. So
many people were okay with what he was saying because he was black, and so people was like, oh, we need a black president. They didn't listen to his words. They just knew the color of his skin, and that they think that it was just right for us to finally have someone.
So because
like
America is inherently racist, I really thought that we would have a female president over a black president. I really thought we'd have President Hillary Clinton over President Barack Obama.
Correct.
But that goes to show you that America isn't inherently racist, and we don't have to call it America because we voted for Barack Obama twice.
Yeah,
twice.
It doesn't really impact.
I mean,
so she was talking about how that affected her vote or influenced her political start.
Yeah, it influenced my start in getting into knowing exactly what this stuff was going on. And then after, Hillary lost and that time, I really started digging into Hillary, and I started, remembering what she did during Nixon.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh yeah, she did that. But I wasn't voting for her in the primary. I mean, in the election if she won. Right. But I was listening to what Obama had to say, and I just could not believe these people weren't listening. They weren't. And they still don't listen. They still think he's one of the greatest presidents ever, though he was one of the worst. And they think Trump's bad. And I'm just like, well, you guys really have some serious, listening skills and reading skills. And so, but let's go back to the Second Amendment. So now we got totally on that.
You know what? I love these rabbit trails, though, we get off on.
Well, no, I was actually going to contribute one last thing to the rabbit trail. When she talked about the origin statement, I did want to make a mention of this. So people that know me understand that I wanted to start the PAC based on a website that was called racist.watch.
Yeah.
That basically cataloged anyone that supported Trump as a racist.
Yep.
And you could find them on a map. It was awful. It made what I originally used to think of as the political machine, you had your side, I have my side, we both vote, we have winners, we have losers, and we all come back as Americans. And it was obvious that wasn't the case anymore with that. Well, now the Democrats have doubled down. Okay, they have doubled down on stupid. There's actually a new website, and do a Google search of it, and it will amaze you. And it's literally called the Trump Accountability Project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm glad you brought this up, Shaun.
I wanted to, but when she mentioned that, I'm like, oh crap, I want to mention that too. We'll get back to Second Amendment. We all love guns. We'll talk about it in a second. But I wanted to specifically mention that because now we've taken it a step further, right? Now we're starting to see a piece where we are starting to not only attack individuals, but we're now attacking businesses. We're keeping track of who supported, what business supported the Trump campaign, and all this stuff. And it's like, but yet we, and I say we broadly speaking as Republicans, we are being blamed for being Nazi-like, but it's projection at this point, because we are now cataloging businesses and people to literally politically attack at this point.
Remember, the left is always, they accuse you of what they themselves are doing.
Oh, that's
They've always done it.
I think the last podcast that we were together, we were talking about that.
Yeah, I think we were too. It's like they will literally tell you, you're doing this, but they're doing it. I mean, Joe Biden. I mean, Russia collusion. He was doing it with, his son, Hunter. Ukraine. That was all Joe and Hunter. It's just amazing to me that so many people don't get their news source and they don't actually do their own research that they believe on the mainstream media.
Yeah. So this is our usual Friday parents' night out, as evidenced by the kids you occasionally hear in the background. But back on the Second Amendment stuff. So I can see, and I could probably name 3 states that would be okay with a gun confiscation.
Here, let me just.
Oh no, go ahead. No.
Let me throw something at you.
Americans who own AR-15s and AK-47s will have to sell them to the government, all of them. The critics call this confiscation. Are you proposing taking away their guns, and how would this work?
I am, if it's a weapon that was designed to kill people on a battlefield. If the high-impact, high-velocity round, when it hits your body, shreds everything inside of your body because it was designed to do that so that you would bleed to death on a battlefield and not be able to get up and kill one of our soldiers. When we see that being used against children, and in Odessa, I met the mother of a 15-year-old girl who was shot by an AR-15, and that mother watched her bleed to death over the course of an hour because so many other people were shot by that AR-15 in Odessa and Midland. There weren't enough ambulances to get to them in time. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used.
Wait. AK-47s, you have to have a special license to have them.
No, so that was Beto
you can actually
O'Rourke.
get AK-47. Yeah, because there's a piece in the AK-47 that turns it from automatic to semi-automatic, so you can actually have one just like an AR.
I'm just clarifying because people might ask.
Yeah.
So my point to that is just simply, they are out there to try to take our weapons away.
Oh, absolutely.
And they take our guns away. Who's going to have the guns? Those same people that he's talking about that went out and shot all these people in Odessa, who he sat there and watched some little girl, poor little girl. I'm not saying that that's a good thing.
No.
I feel bad for those parents.
No.
But the fact is, though, that was not a citizen of the United States that is a good citizen.
No.
The bad people will have the guns. We won't.
Yeah, and the thing is, they protect the people that get them illegally, because the majority of the guns that are used in all these mass shootings are not their guns or somebody else's gun that they have gotten
or stolen.
They're stolen.
Yeah.
They're never
their
registered good people that
gun, yeah.
Those guns are bad guns. Those are the bad guns.
Yeah, those are. I mean, and everyone that's the kids have gotten their guns. They have stolen the guns from their parents.
You will
or
never
they
get
have
rid of
gotten
them
from somebody else. You're never going to get rid of them. Yeah, because the bad people are going to always.
They will always have them.
Yep, and they're always going to find a way to get them. Because
and how are we supposed to protect ourselves against those people?
But the funny thing is people like Beto O'Rourke and Joe Biden will have their security with their guns, but we won't have our security with our guns.
Here's Joe
and they
Biden.
want to take away our police.
Here's Joe Biden right here.
To gun owners out there who say, well, a Biden administration means they're going to come for my guns.
Bingo. You're right if you have an assault weapon. The fact of the matter is they should be illegal, period.
So
they are.
I guess we're not.
Colin Noir, my favorite. I really like him.
But I mean, they already are, right? I can't buy a fully automatic assault rifle. That's just not.
You absolutely cannot. There is a license for it. There's a license process that you have to go through to get a fully automatic weapon.
So just a few minutes ago, remember when I said that these Democrats are so stupid they don't even know the law?
Yeah.
That's one example.
No, it's precisely, what we're talking about.
It's all a mind game too. They want people to think AR stands for assault rifle, but if you actually do your research, it doesn't stand for that at all. I mean, It's they're them playing my tricks. They're really good at the mind games.
So what they're doing, Michelle, is they're pandering to their Democrat base because the Democrats don't know the law either. I get in conversation. I have a really good friend I grew up with that he is so involved in the sheep mentality of the Democrat Party and what he sees and spews out from CNN or Rachel Maddow. He doesn't get the facts. And then when I tried to debate him on it or give him the facts, because quote Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about your feelings. He gets upset about it.
No,
and
they
says,
do. They do. When you challenge their worldview, it's.
Or when I say, hey, this is already a law.
I've noticed.
But
this.
Joe Biden's going to do it.
No.
Well,
And they'll do that. They'll do
but
that
it's
all
already
the
been
time.
done.
They'll do that all the time, but it's akin to the way an individual would react if I came to them and said, I understand your religion, and it's wrong, and here's why. Mm-hmm. It's the same kind of visceral reaction these folks have because their politics is their
religion.
I would say.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say their moral compass.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know that necessarily religion, but I think certainly their moral compass.
I'll go with that too.
But they treat it like that, right? That's how it's scary to a certain extent because you really have to, like dance around and be nice, overly nice, because you can't carry on a conversation that challenges any sort of aspect, in any meaningful way, right? I can't come to them and say, well, are all guns bad? Because the immediate response is no, just the assault ones. It's like, okay, I don't have an assault rifle. I've got one that looks like one, like one.
Define
big, black,
assault
and scary.
rifle.
Well, big, black, and scary.
Sean, what is this?
That's an assault cough drop.
Okay, not now, but
it's gonna be if I keep talking.
There,
yeah.
I just threw it at you.
Yeah,
now that is an assault.
Remember,
assault is an action.
Yeah, I know.
We need to. Well, for clarification, guys.
No.
Assault is an action.
Right. Yeah, but they think words are assault now. So
remember,
these. If you say boo, they're you scared me. You offended me. You scared me. So you say the wrong thing to them, you've hurt their feelings, and then they have to go, have to go to counseling because you said the wrong words to them. We have literally raised a bunch of pansies.
Say about that, Jeff. I see you nodding.
Yeah, Jeff. Alleged pansies. Yeah, I think Michelle's really holding back tonight. I don't know what the deal is.
I don't
know. She needs to come out of her shell or something because.
I say nothing.
He's like, I don't get a word edgewise with you guys.
When do I ever?
Yeah, I was going to say you need to. Yeah.
So back on the Second Amendment thing, what you were saying. Let's roll back into that, please.
Yes.
Yep.
Back to the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
People, you have a definite split on your thought process, and even there's some of the people now in my district that I just love, but just don't understand why this is such an important issue that we need to talk about.
Well, it's fundamental, right? It controls and protects the other ones.
Well, it's interesting. I know a previous candidate for the Republicans who asked the question, well, what are you going to do with an AR-15 with a tank? How are you going to combat against a tank? It's not about combating against a tank.
No.
It's about the things that you can do to get that tank.
Well, it's about the 3 o'clock in the afternoon knock at your door saying,
right.
Hello,
yep.
Mr. So-and-so, I'm here for your assault rifle.
Right.
So, the Second Amendment clearly says that it's a protection against the government. It's to keep the government in check
tyranny. Yeah.
Against a tyrannical government.
Absolutely.
That's exactly right.
Well, and remember they want to sell us, the Democrats want to sell us out to China, and the only way China can get to the United States is to remove the guns, and that's one reason. Remember, Japan did not attack the United States during
behind every blade of grass there's a gun.
So guess what they need to do? They got to get rid of the guns so China can take control of the United States.
What's the statistic about Wisconsin? Every hunting season, there's more registered hunters. They become the largest standing army in the world. Which,
isn't that amazing?
That's awesome. I think it's cool, but that's just me.
If the American people stood up, well, I shouldn't be talking about this, but if the American people stood up,
we're off of
against,
yeah, you just got to
no YouTube, no Facebook,
against our tyrannical government,
tyrannical.
Well, but you have the dead voters that are,
I don't care if there's a Black Hawk helicopter coming after me or a Sherman tank. You know what? At least I have the cojones to stand up and fight for my property, my values, my rights. Period.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of gun or what military vehicle I'm going against. If a tyrannical government tries to come after me, at least I will be defending my property.
Absolutely.
And my civility.
Yep.
Yeah, you're going to see that all over. Actually, I do believe more people want to control the tyrannical government. I think more people are really upset about the voter fraud and what's going on. They're very scared of what's going to happen.
Well, you just have an administration that unfortunately has gotten votes, and now we're trying to wait to see what happens from all those votes, whether they truly got that bid or not. But if by chance they did, just know that they, by their own words, are coming after our guns.
Oh, they absolutely are.
Oh, they've
made, and in the past they always tried to sugarcoat it somehow or another. This time we're not getting that.
Well, and that goes to something else I want to say. Mm-hmm. They're not sugarcoating that. They're not sugarcoating the fact that they're socialists.
No.
Oh my gosh! Look at the change that we're looking at. That's why we need to protect our Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, like the Green New Deal. They're trying to push everybody into the main cities, but
we're not. Right. They're not hiding that anymore at all.
Yeah, listen, California, Gavin Newsom has now done what do you call those executive order that there are no gas cars starting in 2035.
Wait, what do you mean?
No gas-powered cars.
You cannot have a gas-powered car
in the state of California.
So it's a Tesla or a Prius you can drive?
It's all you can drive. And so I called my brother-in-law and asked him,
that is a government overreach to the highest proportion.
Yeah, but that's okay because my brother-in-law can't use his truck anymore, so I told him he could give it to me.
I'll buy it from him.
I'm going to get a new truck.
You'll see a lot of people trying to fight that.
I might be in
truckers can't use their trucks.
Just think about that though.
I know.
If they were able to do that, somebody's not thinking, because how do they get all their foods?
Authoritarians don't think.
They aren't thinking.
Yeah, because how their tourism goes away because they can't fly in.
No, you can't fly in. You can't train. You can't ride a train. You can't have your stuff, transported by truck because trucks use diesel fuel.
We talked about the Simpsons always being, kind of leading these, showing the examples before they actually happens. But this is a prime example of one of my favorite. I don't know if you're familiar with South Park, but one of my favorite episodes of South Park. No, it was called the Underwear Gnomes, and they made they made money from the underwear. And what they said was, step 1, steal underpants. Step 2, step 3, profit. Right? And and everyone's like, well, we don't know what step 2 is, and it's the same thing. It's like, well, we'll get the food. It's like, how are you going to get the food? Well, it's grown.
We'll get her.
And then it's in the grocery store. It's the same thing.
Their tractors are gas.
Yeah.
Or diesel.
Well, but they're out of state. They don't care about, it's just in California.
So while we've seen Nevada, though, turn from a purplish state to more of a blue state, you see people fleeing California to go to Nevada.
And then vote for exactly what they're getting rid of.
Right,
absolutely.
Texas,
the same thing.
And Texas, I mean, they make their utopia, their liberal utopia in California, and they're like, oh, taxes are too high, there's too much regulation, I'm going to go somewhere else. They go somewhere else to a red state with more freedom, more liberties, and less regulation, and pretty soon they start destroying that state by wanting their utopia back.
Yep.
These liberals, lefties, they don't know what they're voting for.
Same thing in Colorado.
Colorado, absolutely.
Same thing. All right, guys. Well, it's that time where we have to. Yeah, I know. We got kids that need to go to bed.
That would be me.
And so, anyway, on behalf of myself, Michelle, Jeff, and Kress, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
See you, Shaun. Bye.
Guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Jackson County Republican Party. And promotional considerations given by Heartland Funding Incorporated, helping promote traditional values and candidates. Contribute at jacamo.gop, that's JACAMO.gop, and fundingtheheartland.com.